Do you ever fall trapped into making resolutions and setting goals only to find yourself starting off with the best of intentions but feeling overwhelmed and giving up soon after? With the constant noise from hustle culture, the perfectly curated social media feeds, and the never ending cycle of the news and notification influx, it's no wonder many of us feel like we're drowning and consuming more than we're actually living. So, what if I told you that you can have it all and reach that version of yourself that you've always envisaged with the right structure and focus? This is the starting point for today's video on how we're going to build ourselves up to become that woman. Now, we all know someone that just seems to have it all together all the time, and anything they do looks effortless, they manage it perfectly, and you can't help but wonder how. If that sounds like a bit of you, you're in the right place. Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Alexandra, and around here we don't gatekeep. I bring you science-backed content and practical and actionable ways to help you build a life that feels as good as it looks. This is your space to grow and actually enjoy the process. Let's get into it. So, why do we love starting a project, but when we actually have to follow through, we lose interest? It all comes down to dopamine, a neurotransmitter and hormone that plays a crucial role in our mood, motivation, and attention. You likely would have heard about dopamine in the context of feel-good hormone. Now, when it comes to dopamine, we will get an instant hit as soon as we decide we're going to do something. And I'm sure you're familiar with that boost of motivation when you say to yourself the night before that you're going to do a workout the next day and you already feel like you're getting everything together. But once that novelty fades and you actually have to deliver on what you said you would do the work, stay consistent, it just doesn't feel exciting anymore, and you end up debating with yourself whether you actually had to do it in the first place. This process becomes repetitive and sometimes even boring when you're working on long-term projects, and those small daily tasks that mount to the results that you actually want start to feel less sexy and more like a chore. This is also why it feels so good to say you're changing XYZ in your life to become that version that you want to be, but when you have to actually deliver on those promises, it starts to feel like it's too much and it's easier to slip in the old ways. So the burning question is, how do we actually build a system and a foundation that helps us build to become that woman? Now, first things first, we really need to define to ourselves what that person actually looks like. And by that, I mean start setting goals with a meaning and a measurable outcome. And I'm sure you've heard a lot of people talk about the concept of SMART goals, which is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And honestly, anytime I hear that, I think corporate, and I instantly recoil and think, ugh, no thank you. But putting this into softer terms, you should be specific about what you want to do, how you want to do it, how you will measure it, and how you can actually make it enjoyable so it can stick. So for example, if you're setting some fitness goals and you say to yourself, I want to get into shape, this is very vague. There's no target date, there's no commitment, you haven't specified how you're going to do it, and most importantly, you haven't even thought about how to make it enjoyable for yourself. Now, if you were to reframe this into something like, I want to run a sub 30 5k in 8 weeks time. With this approach, you have set a target date, which is 8 weeks. You have specified which area of fitness you're working on, which is running in your cardiovascular health, and you've also set a relative goal to your time and the distance that you want to cover. This specificity helps your brain tackle this because you've set a clear direction as to where you're going, and it allows you to become laser focused. So you might ask yourself, how can I measure this? So for example, you could maybe use a fitness tracker, or you could write down your distance and how you felt after each run, and then maybe do like a weekly check-in at the end of the week to look at your overall performance. By measuring your outcomes over time, you'll see improvements that will help you keep going. Plus, there's not a better feeling than ticking something off or seeing a streak build up over time. And this essentially hacks your reward system, which is very satisfying for the brain. And lastly, how can you make it more enjoyable? Can you maybe set up a wee Saturday morning date with your bestie and go for a run? Or make it a ritual where you maybe take yourself to another location once a week and, for example, run along the coastline, or maybe sign up for a run club or a park run to get that social feeling. The more enjoyable that you can make it feel, the more likely you are to stick with your goal. Now, when you're thinking about changing things up in your life, it's very easy to fall trap into setting 101 goals, in one go. And trust me, I have been there several times this year. But let's just take a little step back and understand why we should only set 1 to 3 major goals at a time. And this is due to our human nature. So we as humans have finite cognitive resources, and when everything's a priority, nothing really is. The brain becomes overwhelmed and you end up in something called a prefrontal cortex bottleneck. Now, the prefrontal cortex is an area of the brain which is essentially our executive control center that manages our decision making and attention. If you're pursuing multiple complex goals, this creates a greater demand for your brain and your attention fades, meaning you're unable to focus on everything and end up draining your mental and physical energy. Having 1 to 3 goals is much easier to manage and do well rather than having 10 and not chipping away at either because you're feeling overwhelmed. If you want to become that woman, you need to learn to prioritize your goals and be in tune with yourself and understand what will truly serve you rather than chase those endless social media trends that you'll see constantly popping up on your feed. Now, before you even start setting those 1 to 3 goals, take that moment to pause and think about what actually matters to you. What are your core values and what do you deem as success, or what does that woman look like in your world? When your goals are deeply rooted in what genuinely matters to you, they will stop feeling like a chore and start feeling like growth. And that woman will have super laser focus on herself and what serves her and builds her dream life. Now, once you've set those goals and you know exactly what you're working towards, it's time to build a system that will help you achieve those goals and help you stay on track and not overwhelmed. This is where I apply something called the Eisenhower Matrix. It's a very basic framework that I learned to use during my PhD, and now I essentially apply it to my life when I start to feel overwhelmed and I need to calm down my mind. The concept is super simple. You essentially apply a level of urgency and priority to the mental dump that you're placing on paper. The matrix splits your tasks into 4 main areas. Now I'm going to try to recite them without getting completely tongue-tied. So the first one is urgent and important. The next one is not urgent but important. The third one is urgent but not important, and lastly, not urgent and not important. Things that are urgent and important need to be done immediately because they weigh a lot of priority and essentially are tasks that you can't ignore. So this could look like finishing a project, report, or a presentation that's due tomorrow, buying a birthday present for a friend whose party is tonight, paying a bill that's due today, or sending off a time-sensitive email. Your important but not urgent are things that you can plan. So these make up your bigger weekly or daily pillars that you can slot into your calendar. These end up being your long game tasks that essentially don't scream attention but compound the most over time. So for example, meal prepping, or going to the gym and going on your daily walk, planning your finances for the month, or reading and journaling for personal growth. These tasks can be done at a later stage but are just as important because they will help you reach your ultimate goals. Now, your urgent but not important are tasks that should be easily ticked off the list or maybe delegated. To me, those things do not build towards goals but rather help me stay on top of my day-to-day life. So for example, doing the dishes or doing laundry. And lastly, your not urgent and not important are those sneaky time wasters that we should try to eliminate or minimize as much as we can. So for example, deep cleaning your kitchen while you know there's work waiting for you, or rearranging your wardrobe for the 5th time for no valuable reason really, or maybe scrolling social media for inspiration. No. Essentially, this is the area where your procrastination tasks live. By having that mental dump and arranging your week or your day with priority and urgency helps to set up a super clear framework for your brain to tackle. And again, we know what's important to us and we're not just adding things that are unnecessary to cause us overwhelm and stress. So next time you feel like you have 100 things that are demanding your attention and feel like they should have been done yesterday, write them all down and arrange them into those 4 pillars, and trust me when I say you will instantly feel like you have mental clarity. Becoming that woman isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things and knowing what deserves your energy and when. And to become that woman, we need to learn to manage our time effectively and not let those small procrastination tasks get in the way of the bigger picture. Now that we know what our goals are and how to manage the day-to-day of becoming that woman, let's talk about mindset because this is the part that actually glues everything together. You know those moments when you said you would do something or you've set a goal and now it's time to follow through, and then you start negotiating with yourself. So for example, do I really need to do this today? Or I'll just do this tomorrow. And my personal favorite, I'll just start next week. And those moments either make or break your growth. That's where embodiment comes in. You need to become that version of yourself now, not later. So next time you start debating or negotiating with yourself, pause and ask, what would that version of myself do right now? Would she skip her workout or would she show up anyway, even if it's just for 20 minutes? Or would she finish up the tasks she said she would do, or would she leave it hanging? And if your goals are truly deeply rooted in something that matters to you, this question will often flip the switch for you. And you know why? Because your brain literally doesn't know the difference between who you are now and who you believe yourself to be. When you start identifying with that woman who is disciplined and follows through, your actions will start naturally aligning, and in time, you'll stop debating and negotiating with yourself. And most importantly, you don't have to just overhaul and change everything in your life overnight. Start stacking those small steps and actions that reinforce the person that you want to be. If you want to be someone who's calm and organized, tidy your workspace before you log off and write a to-do list for yourself for the next day. Or if you want to be someone who moves her body daily, maybe pair your morning coffee with a morning walk. Over time, those tasks will align without that mental negotiation that goes on where you're sitting debating with yourself whether you should do it or not do it. And becoming that woman is about choosing your future self in the present until it becomes second nature. And lastly, to truly become that woman, we need to focus on adding value to our life. When we fill our days with meaningful things and not just stuff that looks productive on the surface, we naturally start to feel more fulfilled. Meaningful activities, especially ones that challenge you, connect you with others, or those that simply bring you joy, will release lots of endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin, which are neurotransmitters that signal to your brain that you're happy and will boost your mood and reduce stress. So next time when you're choosing hobbies or you aim to develop a new skill, set out a new routine, or stack those habits up, make sure that they enrich your life and not just drain you. Don't build a life that looks perfect but feels rigid. Build a life that feels good for you to live in. So next time, ask yourself, does this or will this make my life feel better? Or does this align with my core values and will it bring me closer to my goals? Because becoming that woman isn't about ticking more boxes off and creating a structure for the sake of it. It's about having those systems in and habits that actually serve you. Having a sense of purpose is key because it gives everything a meaning, which makes it easier for you to show up and enjoy everyday life. When your goals and your daily actions align with your values, that will help you build a life that feels intentional and authentic. And the beautiful part is that value compounds. The connections you make, the skills you develop, and the way you treat people will build into something much greater over time. You never know what opportunities are forming behind the scenes as you're putting the energy into the right places. So add value to your life, don't add chores. Becoming that woman isn't about being someone else completely. It's about uncovering that elevated version of yourself who you already are. So remember, you already have everything you need. You just need to reframe your systems, your environment, and your energy to align with that version of you. And this is exactly what I'm working on myself right now. I recently turned 30, and in all honesty, I need a bit of a kick up the arse because I feel like I've been in a bit of a limbo where I start things and I don't really finish. So I need to build up that trust bank again and that confidence in myself to show up and follow through on the promises that I have made to myself. This next chapter for me is about building habits that stick and creating systems that will compound over time, and most importantly, help me become more intentional and confident from the inside out. And if you're in the same mindset, you're in the right place. Thank you so much for watching, and here's your reminder that you are already that woman. You just need to start acting like her. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!